All right, we are live. Live we are. We are live once again. Bear with me, folks. I'm just getting combobulated here. We're going to get our Amazon stream going. And we'll begin shortly. All right. Okay, we are live on both platforms. And let's check and make sure all of my equipment's working here. So we're going to have my Xbox here running. See if we can get that up. So I got the Xbox. Oh, it just went dark on me here. Let's turn it back on here. There we go. So what we're going to be testing today, and I always like to do, you know, when we look at something that's kind of marketed as a game drive, I always like to have some kind of gaming element to it. So we're going to not review this right now. We're going to test it now, and then I'm going to shoot the review from all of the B-roll footage that I will be collecting over the course of the stream here. And I've got some friends who are coming by to say hello. So we have Recipe Bob, who's the first one out of the gate today. Romeric is here. Robert is here. Recipe Bob is waiting at the eye doctor, so maybe you'll be able to see me better after this. V. Tabalba is here. John is here. MSX Droid is here. Joe Tyson's dialing in from South Carolina again. Heffin Davies is here, and Juan Tolino is here too. Hi, everybody. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one today. So this is the, just so everybody knows, as we usually like to do, I attended a press briefing the other day, well, virtually, of course, for WD and some of their new products that they're coming out with. And then they sent everyone that attended a drive to review. This came in free of charge, but we haven't looked at this one yet, so I thought we would review it. And we're going to go through some of the motions of reviewing this hard drive. And what you always get when you have a game drive is you want to test the gaming performance on some kind of game system. So we've got my Xbox One X, not the Series X, that's upstairs. I got the One X here, and the reason why I've got the One X is because, first of all, this is the one that's downstairs, but also this has a built-in spinning hard drive, and when you plug in one of these externals, it actually performs better, and we found that with the WD spinning drive that we reviewed in this product line a year or two ago. So this one will probably do a little bit better than that, and I'll probably test this offline because I got to go upstairs to run the test on that one. But upstairs on the Series X, because the Series X is using those new NVMe drives, this is probably not going to be as fast as the built-in drive or the one you can get from Microsoft that plugs in. But the speed differences on the Series X will be marginal on this compared to what you would get with the older versions. So that is what we're going to look at. And I think actually the Series X probably has a faster drive than the original Xbox does. Because I think when I did this last time, we tested it against the original Xbox, which I have since gotten rid of. So I have a S, an X, and a Series X. That's my current repertoire. And I find very little time to play with any of them. So there you go. All right, so we're going to open this up in a second. But before I do, I want to say hello to a few more people. We've got George Langley here. We have George. Tyler's wishing Recipe Bob good luck at the eye doctor. Beta Baba says, yeah, this would work great for the PS4. Yep, terabyte. It's selling for about $200, so it's not. You know what I would look at, actually? Hang on a second. Let me look at something real quick, because that's going to be part of my decision process here. Because what does this, I think this is almost like not a repackaged, but maybe it is a repackaged version of their Extreme Pro, because it has all the same specifications. And the Extreme Pro, which of course is out of stock at the moment, I don't know what that typically sells for, but the specs on this one are the same as the Extreme Pro. So this is selling for right now $200 for a terabyte, which I guess is not a bad price, right? I just spilled coffee all over myself. Hang on a second. Let me just get a... This is what happens when I'm multitasking. Thankfully, I didn't get anything on the microphone. At least I don't think I did. Okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. Now here's the thing with this drive. And again, this came in free of charge from WD. And you probably hear the lawnmower guy going out there. The thing with this drive to keep in mind is that you got to look at the specs on these things, because they're advertising up to 2 gigabytes per second, 2,000 megabytes per second. And that's true. However, most of what you're going to plug this into can't go that fast because of what they're relying on for that 20 gigabit speed. Okay, so I'm just looking through here. First of all, by the way, you get a 5-year warranty on it, so that's good. I was reading somewhere, maybe it's on the product page, because this is supporting 20 gigabits per second through USB 2x2, but it's not the USB 4 Thunderbolt 20 gigabits. This is a different 20 gigabit standard. And we talked about this in my earlier review. So check that out. Joe says, I hope this isn't better or too much better than the Samsung T7 I just got on Prime Day. It's going to be, I think, roughly the same. This one might be a little bit quicker because it does incorporate an NVMe inside. But honestly, like, unless you're doing benchmarks, it's going to be pretty close. Bruce Hall is here from Northern Kentucky. Hello. Here's a little interesting nugget for you. Many years ago, a friend of mine knew somebody in Kentucky, and I became a Kentucky colonel. I think I'm still on the list. So I used to get the stuff they would mail you to be, your Kentucky colonel stuff. So yes, I'm a Kentucky colonel, believe it or not. Nunya has the 5 terabyte version. Is that the SSD or the spinning drive? This one's the SSD. We reviewed the spinning one earlier. It's a nice drive. This one's a terabyte. Oh, there we go. He answered my question right there. Sorry about that. And Corey says, the Maxwell House Coffee loves you. Actually, you know what I have? There's a local guy that roasts coffee. I go and visit him, and he has really good coffee. He roasts it right there. So these beans were roasted just a couple of days ago. Really good stuff. Yeah, and that's the other thing is if you use USB-A, you're not going to get to that speed. In fact, most people won't because of the standard that this uses. And I think that's one of the things that gets really confusing for people, and for me, is that. And actually, I have a little slide that I can show you. Let me pull it up real quick, because this is how crazy this is, okay? And if you watch my video that I did a while ago on this topic, you will be shocked as to how complicated this really is. Let's find it here real quick. So I did like a whole big, maybe it was one of my weekly wrap-up videos. Maybe that's what it was. Let me pull it up on my network attached storage here real quick. And I'll show you what this was, because this was like crazy complicated. And I'm going to need these slides later for my video that I'm doing. And let's go into, it's probably I forgot when I did, a couple of weeks ago I did it, a couple months ago actually. So we'll get this unboxed in a second here. Let me go down here to the USB one. I thought I had, I know I did a whole video on this, but maybe it didn't, maybe it is where I thought it was. Let me see if I can find that. I'm going to need those slides, so I'm like trying to track them down real quick here. Let's see if they're in here. No, what did I do with it? I'll have to track it down. Needless to say, this is using the 2x2 standard, which most people don't have. So you're not going to get the full speed out of this, and you certainly won't get it on your game console, because I don't think any of the game consoles support the 2x2 standard. I'll have to look and see exactly what the Series X and the PS5 support. But let's take it out of the box and see what we've got inside here. Nice recyclable package. And here it is. It's pretty nice. So the top part is metal. That's metal. And the bottom part is plastic. At least it feels like plastic. Maybe it's like a mixture of the two. Yes, it feels like these vents are plastic. Yeah, I think the bottom part is all plastic. So it's got some passive cooling. And you've got your manual here. And let me pull up some more comments while we're going here. Now, one thing, though, is that you can get, remember, you can get on USB-A, there is a provision for 10 gigabit on USB-A. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that you couldn't get to the 10 gigabit on these. And Mark asked the million-dollar question, what makes it gaming? Just the branding. Like I said, I think this is going to be I have it upstairs, but I think this is going to be very similar to the SanDisk Extreme Pro. It's got the same specs. But they are marketing this at gamers. It's pretty rugged, you know, so maybe that's a little bit more of a gaming kind of thing. And the design, perhaps, certainly the industrial design, it looks like a little ammo crate, right? Thus far, Xbox Series games can only go on an internal drive or the expansion port on the back. Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one now that you mention it. Let me see what it says here. Will external hard drive work on Series X? Let me look through this article real quick. I'll test it upstairs. I have a Series X upstairs, so I'll definitely test that. So it looks like, yeah, so according to this article I'm reading here, is that it's storage only. But I was definitely planning to test this a little bit later because I have a Series X upstairs, so I will test it. But I suspect that this is going to be storage only because I think they're going to rely upon that new standard there, but I'll double check on that. That's a very good question to ask. And I'm glad you asked it because I wouldn't have passed over that because I would have discovered it immediately when I tested it. But I will look into that. So let me just start making some notes here. Do you all see how complicated this gets? Like you can't just plug something in anymore. There's always like there's all this stuff that you got to be prepared for here. WD Black SSD P50. So the questions are, will it work on Series X? So I'm guessing that you could put your older games on this, right? And then the newer games will have to be on the internal or on one of those special SSDs that they have. Okay. All right. So we got that. This is the little guidebook here. Your warranty info. You know, what's nice about these is that they always come with really good warranties. So this is a 5-year, which I think is great. Okay, so here's your cheat sheet on what to plug into here. So you got your PC. It kind of looks like a MacBook, doesn't it? PlayStation 4, Xbox One. And they're not showing the new console, but the old one there, right? So now what is nice is that you get 2 distinct cables here. Because usually when you get one of these things, they have like an adapter cable, which is something you never want. So you have your, because this is a USB Type-C, not Thunderbolt though, USB Type-C drive here. And we'll just take a look at the cable that it came with. So this is your USB-A cable. Now what's not clear is whether or not this supports a 10 gigabit per second connection. I'm guessing you could probably tell by the pins, right, inside the cable. I think it does actually. This is probably a Gen 2 cable. And then, I'll take some more questions here. Got a lot of questions pulling up here. Let's see. Jack Goldsmith is here from Arizona. Mark Smith says, "What is the 10 gigabit USB one?" So it depends what what period of time you're asking. So the 10 gigabit one is USB 3.0 Gen 2, or I'm sorry, 3.1 Gen 2, or 3.2 Gen 2. And then this drive is a Gen 2x2, but not a USB 4. So it'll work on USB 4, but only at 10 gigabits per second, because if the 2x2 standard is optional on all flavors of USB, including USB 4. And I have yet to find anything that supports this at 2x2 speeds out of the box. Luke here says that there are some USB-A. Yeah, I've seen some of those. They are out there for sure. And I've got a couple of docking stations that have those ports too. Spike Blighty is here. Joe's holding out for the tactical edition. And Azad here is saying that, yeah, right, 3.1 is 10 gigabits per second, but it's mostly 800 megabytes per second. And many motherboards have one controller per port. Right. So that's what makes these so hard to benchmark. And then I'm finding, too, that there's different performance levels on different motherboards. So, for example, I have a really nice Lenovo ThinkPad Y740 with a Thunderbolt port, a Thunderbolt 3 port. So the Thunderbolt drive speeds are fine, right? No problem there. But when you plug a USB drive like one of these into that port, it doesn't perform as well as my desktop does upstairs. So I've been doing all of the Crystal disk mark tests off of the desktop upstairs, which is what we'll likely do today. Although I will run the Blackmagic disk speed test so we can get a feel for the regular throughput. So some of this stuff will come out in the full review. So we'll have all of the bases covered in the full review. Oh geez, oh man, hi there from Westchester City. Would you say these are an overkill for a Raspberry Pi NAS streaming? I would say so, yeah. I mean, I would get, I don't think you need to spend this much. And actually, what you could look at is something like this one. So this is, I think, one of the most affordable external SSDs from a name brand. And I'll look this up real quick on Amazon. This is the Crucial X6. And let me look up the price on this real quick, because this one I think is pretty reasonably priced. Maybe I'm wrong. It was reasonably priced. Hang on a second. What is it going for now? That's the 4. So they have a 4 terabyte version of this for like $459. But the 2 terabyte of this one is $229. So it's just $30 more than this one with a terabyte. It's not that fast though. So it's going to be faster than your regular spinning external hard drive, but it's slower than most SSDs currently on the market. But I think it's a reasonable price. And the 1 terabyte version is $129. So you get a lot more capacity at the expense of performance. But these are really good little SSDs for that. If you wanted an SSD, I think it's good for that purpose. And others in the chat might have some suggestions too. Right, and Jason says, oh good, so we will be able to test this later. You can play games on the external hard drive if they are not enhanced for Series S or X. And then for those asking, these are the 2 cables you get. So one cable is USB-C to USB-C, which we're going to plug into my MacBook in a second. And then the other one here is USB-C to USB 3. And it looks like this is a 10 gigabit USB-A cable, which will work on ones that are not 10 gigabits. And this is selling right now for $199 for the 1 terabyte version. All right, Luke says, an interesting data point could be CDM. And what is CDM on the MacBook Air? So let me know what you mean by that. We're going to definitely plug it into the MacBook in a second. Mark Smith asked, why are some USB-A connectors red? That's a good question. I think some manufacturers make them red because they offer like power charging for devices and stuff. So that's why I've seen it. Oh, Crystal Disk Mark, right. Oh, is Crystal Disk Mark available for the MacBook? If it is, that'd be great. It'd save me a lot of trouble. So I thought it was only Windows. Let me look on their website here and see if there is one. I'm just looking through here. There's Amorphous Disk Mark, which is something else, which looks similar, but I don't know if I could trust it, right? Because it's a different benchmark. But it'd be great if they had a Mac version, and then I could just do everything on one machine. All right, so why don't we do this first? I'm going to get the Blackmagic disk speed test loaded up on my Mac here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out some tabs on my web browser here to free up some memory, because we've got a lot of stuff loaded up on my Mac at the moment. Let's see what we got here. Give me 1 second here, folks. And I'll be back to you in 1 second once we get this Mac cleared up. Okay. All right, let's get a little bit cleared out the screen here. And we are going to get this hooked up. All right, so I'm going to use and you won't be able to see it because my Mac is over here, but we are going to connect the USB cable. It looks like it's got a light on it, which you'll be able to see a little bit later. So I will get this connected to my Mac here. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. It's got a light. I don't know if if you can see it. Here, I'll point the camera down so you can see what it's doing here with the Mac. Let me go to camera 2, and I'll show you the light as it's plugged in here. Sorry for the mess on my desk. So there is a little light there on the back. And it's not something you usually see on it's a little blurry. Let's see if we can get a little better shot here. Trying to keep it clear of the Mac too. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a quick little recording of the Blackmagic disk speed test. And we'll do WD Black. And Nick92 says, you'll never get the speeds they say you will get. And that is absolutely true for a whole host of reasons. And the big one on this drive is that, as I mentioned before, I'll give you the overhead, is that this relies upon USB 2x2 for the 2 gigabytes per second they claim. And you'll never get that unless your computer supports that. And like I said, I don't think I've seen a computer that supports 2x2. Okay, so why don't we go over to the Mac. Yeah, USB is a mess. And I did a whole video on what a mess it is. So definitely check that out because it's really interesting. Okay, so let's go and select our drive here. And it's nice and clear, nothing on it. All right, so here we go. What do you guys think? I bet you it's going to be around 800-ish megabytes per second. Let's take a look. Ready? Here we go. Boom. Yep, exactly where I thought it would be. 857. Not bad, though. And we're just going to let this run for a minute here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the screen. And this is pretty much exactly what I get out of the other one, which is the Extreme Pro from SanDisk. It's pretty much the same guts, I think, just in a different case. And this one, of course, has a light on it. And unfortunately, USB 4 is not any easier because they don't have to support every standard in USB 4. So it's not getting easier, unfortunately. All right, good. So we got that. And I'll test this again on my PC upstairs in a little bit. Now, what I also wanted to show you as this is running, we'll let that run for a minute. So the light here will pulse as it's reading or writing. But it's not like it's not doing what you would expect. It's, it's an indicator that something is going on, but it's not like a fast blink that you would get from a hard drive disk light or something like that. But it does seem to be working fine. Okay, good. All right, well, I am satisfied with that. I think I got some footage here. And let's take a look of what we got here. Let me stop this real quick now that we're done with the test. And we'll run some more tests on these things later. And to Nick's point in the Amazon chat, you could definitely, I agree, you could definitely build something. And I've done a few videos where we've built stuff. I've got one, I've got a Thunderbolt enclosure that I like quite a bit that I've built with an NVMe. But a lot of consumers just want something that works, right? And so that's why I review finished products too. And this was done on the MacBook Air, by the way. So this is the MacBook Air with the M1 processor. So now that we've got that test done, I am going to switch this over to the Xbox. And I'm going to redo my shot here because we're going to see what happens when you plug it in. Now, by the way, this is not a... you can plug any external drive into an Xbox for the most part. So just because this one says gaming doesn't mean you have to have only this gaming version for this to work. All right, do a little angled thing here. And when we plug this in, we're going to have to use the other cable. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think the ports on the Xbox are any different, but I think what I might do is use one of the back ones. I think, if anything, those might be a little faster. I don't know. And we'll plug this in here. And what we'll probably get when I do this is a message, because what they're going to want us to do is kind of lock this one in to my user account. And that's one thing that these things will do. So for example, when I plug this in, and let me get combobulated here. So I want to record this process. So I'm going to hit Y to open. And I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's see. So I think it has to like adopt the drive and kind of encrypt it to my account. And these things will carry over is basically how that works. All right, let's see what's going on. I don't want to search my stuff. All right, so here's what I want to do first. So I want to take some benchmarks of how long it takes a game to load. So we're going to load up Crackdown here. And I'll load up maybe one other one. And then we're going to move Crackdown to my to the drive. And we'll see how quickly it loads off of the drive versus the internal drive. All right. I'll take a few more comments here. Mike Felk says it's not an RGB light. Yeah, that's true. You got to have RGB to be gaming. Will this drive work on a new Xbox? Yes, it will, and we've just been discussing this. What it won't do is on the Series X, and I'll confirm this when I go upstairs later and try it. On the Series X, you can't run a Series S or X enhanced game from this. It'll store the game and run older games, but it won't run a Series S or X game that require the faster drives. And this was, by the way, plugged into my MacBook Air with the USB-C, and those are 10 gigabit capable ports. So these are Thunderbolt 3 ports on there. So that's what that's got. Mark Smith is saying, is anyone selling one with Thunderbolt and 2x2? Not that I've seen. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. But the Series S, or the Series, yeah, this is more questions about this. You can store games that are Series S or X compatible, but you can't run them. But you can run the older games that are not Series S or X enhanced. That's my understanding. So there you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit record, and we're going to time how long this takes to load a game up. I'm going to get my little stopwatch out here too. And I'll be able to time this better on the video, because the video itself is going to be a good way to time things, right? But I figured it would be kind of fun to just let you know what the differences are here. Okay, so ready? This is off the internal drive right now. 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm just going to time it until it gets to the opening screen. And it's off the internal drive. And I'm pretty sure that the Series, or the 1X has a faster drive than what we've seen before. So this is about 14.5 seconds from start to finish on this game. So this is Crackdown. And I'm just using Crackdown because this was the one I used the last time I did this test, but I'll take a look at Jedi Fallen Order or something a little bit more current. Load times, Crackdown, internal drive. All right, so now what I'm going to do is we will close the game. And then we'll try it again with something else here. I'll do Fallen Order next, see how long that takes. Again, this is very unscientific, but we'll have like a better thing when we do it in a second here. Give me one more second to just adjust one minor setting, and then we'll get to that. So bear with me for 1 second here, folks. Oh, my 720p, huh? I was at 720p. I don't know if that makes a difference. So I might just try that again just to see how long it takes, but we'll be good there. And then hang on 1 second here. I'm just getting this thing adjusted. Almost there. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. All right. So now we've got the drive installed. I'm just going to run this one more time just to make sure that, because we got it at 1080p, so 3, 2, 1, go. And we'll see if it takes the same length of time. Just because it's at 1080p, now it was at 720p a second ago. And yep, pretty much the same, about 14.5 seconds. Okay, so now we'll go out of here. And we'll quit this one, and then we'll load up Jedi Fallen Order and kind of do the same test on that. So bear with me here for 1 second. This is going to be 101 Crackdown internal drive. Okay, so now we're going to start another recording. And see what we get on this one. Okay. So this is Jedi Fallen Order. 3, 2, 1, go. Now, this one was giving me a network error before when I loaded it up, so I'm going to be eager to see if I get that again now. And again, we're just going to get to like where you can interact with the game to start with. Just kind of looking at basic load times. I think obviously the in-game stuff might be more critical, but yeah, so I'm getting this for some reason. I'm not sure. So I'm not probably going to use this one as the comparative because for whatever reason the EA server isn't accepting my connection for whatever reason. But It's still kind of loading, right? But it's hard to do a demo of that. Okay, so now, because this doesn't work right, I'm going to copy. I just want to see if there's a big difference. We're going to copy this game to the external drive because it's about 16 gigabytes. All right, so let me take a screenshot here of me doing this. All right, so let's do a recording here. So we're going to go record. We're going to move. Oops. Move or copy. That's not letting me do that. Why not? May have to set that drive up. I remember there was something that I had to do the last time I played around with this, and I can't remember what it was. So let's go to my settings. And I'll tell you what, I have never liked, I like my Xboxes, don't get me wrong. But the interface on the Xbox 360, the old one, the blades, it made a lot more sense to me because everything was in its own spot. This thing is like everything is all jumbled together. That's a good idea from SC Scout Guy. I've actually been looking at these just for the heck of it about the PC magazines on Google. I sometimes just pop in there when I'm bored just to read through some old magazines. It might be kind of fun to go back and look at some of those. We should do that. But they have a great archive up there. Flood of Sins is here. Hello there. Ooh, he had a YAG procedure. All is well. So you're all done? How about that? Hopefully you can see better now. Is it like immediate that you see better? Corey says his MX500 SATA SSD performs better for loading games off his Xbox One S. More complex games are suffering frame rates even running at 720. Interesting. Okay, so let me go in. I guess I got to go in and manage the storage, right? Devices and connections, accessories, remote features. So where does this thing live? Isn't there like a storage option here? Let's see, accessories. I don't think it's going to show up here. No, that's the controller. This I'm assuming is the, yeah, that's the disk drive. Console info, storage devices. Okay, here we go. So we probably have to go into storage devices first. And right now it can only do pictures, music, and video because we haven't configured this. So we're going to go in and select the drive. And I can view the contents. How do I? Oh, this is where it brought me to before. Remember that? And it just kind of got stuck here. It wasn't like doing anything. I guess we'll just let it sit here for a second and see what it comes up with. I definitely have a network connection, so it should work. Or it should prompt us to make this drive like a drive that we can use for storage. So hey, Corey, how do we format this? What's the process? Because it was like formatted exFAT, I'm guessing, because it worked on the Mac. So I got to format it on the PC first? Because it says here in the instructions, I'm not arguing with anybody here. It's supposed to prompt me. It's supposed to say, what it says here is set up external storage. So it's supposed to prompt me to do something with it. All right, so let's unplug it. Because I'm just trying to see, like, what's the consumer experience going to be? And according to the instructions, the consumer experience is not to reformat it on your PC. It's just to plug it in. Although it's showing it being plugged into the rear port, just as we did. It's going to complain because I just pulled it out. But let's see what happens here. It could be I'm having trouble with my, my thing here, too. All right, so let's plug it in. I'm just going to hit the record button just in case something good happens here when I do it. So I'm going to plug that in. Yeah, it's not prompting me to do anything with it. And I can't format it from here either. So I can view the contents, but then it brings me to this blank screen on the store again. This drive is too slow? See what it's telling me? All right, let's plug it into a different port. Maybe there's something wrong with my Xbox? I don't know. So I'll plug it into the other USB port on the back here. Let's see what happens when I do that. Yeah, same thing. All right, so yeah, setting system storage, that's where we are right now. So let's try that again and see what we get here. Let me go back to the Amazon chat and see if anybody there has some ideas. Yeah, nobody's got any ideas over there either. Let's take a look here. So we'll go into settings. Settings, storage devices, right? This is where we've been. To select the device to see its options. To store games and apps, the devices must be USB 3.0 or faster and 120. You know what? I wonder if for whatever reason this cable is not registering fast enough. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip it around. Remember it said it wasn't fast enough to even record anything? So let me flip the cable around and see if maybe sometimes these cables, if you flip them, same thing, yeah, it's not working. Okay, so let's try the front of the unit. This is definitely the cable that it came with, no question about that. I'm going to plug it into the front here. Ah, look at that. You know what? I bet you the rear ports on the Series X are USB 2. I bet you that's what it is. So why don't we jump out of here back to the main menu. And let's see what happens there. Okay. So I think either the rear ports are USB 2, which is possible, or it just doesn't negotiate at the proper speed on that. Okay, so let me go back out to the full main menu here. How do we get out of here? See what I mean? Like this interface doesn't make sense to me sometimes. All right, so I'm going to unplug it here. And I'll probably make it, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to unplug it here. And I'm going to let people know that they need to plug it into the front port on their Series, or X, whatever this one is, 1X. Okay. So Alva Joy, who's just joined us, has the answer. USB 2.0 on the back, the front is 3.0. So that is the problem. And I agree, Joe, they should all be USB 3, especially because this was like the flagship Xbox console up until recently, right? Okay, so we're going to plug it back in now that we've learned our lesson on that one. But hey, this is the kind of stuff, right? Like you think, hey, I got a USB port, it should work. Okay, so I'm going to hold this to open. Oh, I missed it. I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go over to storage devices. I'm going to go to WD Black. I'm going to format for games and apps. And we're going to get a warning. I'm happy with the name there. We'll give it that one. Okay. And now it's ready. And now it says games and apps. All right, so bear with me, folks. I'm just going to make a note in my B-roll here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I can take this drive and plug, and I'll test this later, I can plug this in to my computer, my Xbox Series X upstairs, and the games will play off of it, because they're all on the same account. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Crackdown 3, and I'm going to hit Start, and we're going to manage the game, and I'm going to click on the game. I'm going to move it I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go to Move. And what it's got here is it's transferring from the internal storage to that external drive. And now it's going to move. And then once it's done moving, we'll load it up off of the external and see if it goes any quicker. Okay. So we'll let this finish up here. I'm just going to make a note of moving games. All right. And we'll let that continue copying. And we'll just let that finish up. It's actually copying pretty slow, isn't it? I don't know what it is about like the speed here. And this is the 1X. It just definitely feels slow to me. Although I guess it's going to be going at about 400 megabytes per second because it's 5 gigabits per second USB 3. And so Corey says, yeah, this might be something just weird about this, right? Because it didn't work. I tried both of the rear ports, and only the front one worked. So that was odd. And Nontex says all the Xbox One X ports are 3.0. Yeah, for whatever reason, it just didn't recognize the drive as a 3.0 and anything but the front. Corey says, SATA is the past. I agree. NVMe is the future. Now, this is an NVMe SSD, but of course, it's on a little enclosure here. And yeah, and actually, that's another good, and this point was made earlier, but I'll reiterate, because any external drive, any of those SSDs out there will work with the Series X or 1X. You can format them. Again, whether or not the games will play is another story, which we'll get to in a few minutes. And we'll see where it goes from there. Dava just finished up school. Am I your after school? So when I was a kid, we used to watch cartoons after school. So you're definitely doing some more useful content consumption. Okay. So let me go and grab my little stopwatch again. And let's see how much faster Crackdown 3 loads up. Again, this is just very unscientific. Okay, ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. And we're going to go right to when the title screen kicks on. And I think it's going to be marginal on this. Yeah, so it's about, it just finished up in like 11 seconds, 12 seconds. So it was about 2 or 3 seconds faster for this game. And I may want to find something else that's a little bit more strenuous, because I think the Series X has a faster hard drive than the original. So the games do load faster on it to begin with. And then I really wanted to have like Jedi Fallen Order be the example. The problem is that for whatever reason, it keeps giving me a network error today. I don't know why it's doing that, because I was playing it over the weekend on my other Xbox. Here, watch when I load it up here. You'll see it load, and then it's going to give me, because this is like a more of a AAA current title. And SC Scout's been doing some research for us, scouting around, and found that there are several posts on Reddit with the same issue. So it's not just me. And it could just be, maybe there's some difference in how these ports are configured. This front one might be a little, on its own thing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they share a port. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why am I getting this? So I'm going to have to come back to that. But, you know, it's about 2 or 3 seconds faster. Not much faster, but a little bit. So it is faster than the internal drive, which we would expect because this is an external solid state. Okay. All right, so that was one other test that I wanted to do. My goodness. Maybe I'll reboot the Xbox and see if that, because I haven't actually rebooted this thing. So let me restart the console. Let's see if that makes any difference. Mohammed says I should test on Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think I owned that one. Is that on Game Pass now? I remember seeing something, or is it just the multiplayer? Yeah, and actually what I was testing, it could be the wire. That's another thing that Alvajoy is bringing up. Could be the cable itself, which actually is a valid point. It could be that the USB Gen 2 cable doesn't like the ports on the back, and that could very well be the case. Although this is the one it came with, so that was kind of my approach to that. Hey, that's a cool little loading screen there. That's neat. I don't see that on my other one. Show you how often I use this thing. And I would agree with these findings too, because you just don't have fast enough USB to take advantage of what an NVMe can offer. So on our Mac a minute ago, you know, we essentially can not quite double, but get close to double the performance. Who's playing today? I'm proud to say that I've used the same avatar since my Xbox 360 days. I have never changed it. I like that little dude with the helmet, but he doesn't really quite fill up the, the screen these days. All right, so let's see if Fallen Order will work now. Because I'm plugged into my network. It's working fine, right? Like, we're in here. And Alvajoy is correct. Thunderbolt is better. No question. I would love to see some Thunderbolt on game consoles. So this is more encouraging because I'm not getting the error. Yeah, see, it's still doing this. There's a temporary network problem. There's a service outage. But what service is out? Because it's connecting to the Microsoft one just fine. I wonder if it's having trouble connecting to EA's whatever servers. Because EA is part of this deal, like, because they linked up with Game Pass. But in order to take advantage of all that EA has to offer, I'm guessing that they have some. Because I remember I had to sign up. I'm trying to remember how this played out. I had to sign up for some other EA thing that was different. It was different than the EA Origin thing, right? You had to sign up for some different thing. Now, Corey said that, see, I'm so glad I have you all in the chat here. It did the same thing on Star Wars Squadrons, but with syncing and data issues with local data ready to be synced, but cloud data can be wiped out or corrupted in months. Oh my goodness. That's why I'm glad I played that game on my PC. Oh, I see. So now I've got the user agreement here. Let me go through this, and maybe that's why it was giving me trouble. I started playing this game over the weekend, and then I've just been like so tired at night that I haven't really gotten to playing it yet. And shouldn't it sync up my data? Because I have a save game from upstairs from before. I bet you when I go back upstairs, it's going to be gone now. So let me close this out. Because now it did do something with the EA server. So let me quit the game. And we'll load it up again. Let's see if we can get in there without an error. Right, so EA is part of Game Pass now. I'll tell you what, Game Pass is a great deal. I got it. Now, you all remember, I don't know if you all remember the deal that I got, but for a while, yeah, it's still giving me the network problem. For a while, they had this deal where you could convert whatever time you had left on Xbox Gold for that year. So, and it was like a very limited time frame that they were going to let you do this. So I converted, what did I convert over? I had about 9 months, and then they would let you convert up to a maximum of 2 years, I think. So, or 3 years. So whatever it was, I think I spent maybe $60, maybe 60 or 120. I can't remember, but it was somewhere in that. It was less. It was well under $200, and I ended up with 3 years of Game Pass Ultimate, which was a great deal. And Travis here did the same thing. It's right, because it was, yeah, right. It felt like you were stealing money. You got 24 months for $1 because you already had. If you had the gold, you'd be good to go. Unfortunately, Alvadroy, I do not have a PlayStation 4. I have a PlayStation 3 in the back room, but not a 4. So I'll have to track that down. Yeah, so Travis already had, right, so, and Xbox Gold was less expensive than a year of Game Pass Ultimate was. So if I'm not mistaken, I think Game Pass Ultimate is what? It's like, let me see what they charge you for that. Oh, wow, it's expensive. Is it that much? No. See all plans. Let me see what the plans are. Okay, so, right, Ultimate is $14.99 a month. But you get 3 months for $1, which that's, I mean, you want to try Game Pass, $1, that's all it costs you. Then they ding you after that. So normally Ultimate is $15 a month, let's say. So that's times 12. So a year of Game Pass Ultimate is $180. And if you play a lot of games, that's a great deal. I mean, that's what, 3 games, right? And you get like 100 and something that you can play on there. Now, if you were just a Game Pass Ultimate or Xbox Gold subscriber, which I've been forever because I had an Xbox from like the get-go 20 years ago. If you were an Xbox Gold subscriber, it was $60 a year. So this was like, what, like a third of the price for each year. So it made sense to like load up the max, which is what I did. I bought a bunch of Xbox Gold cards, and I got my account like completely maxed out, and then I did the conversion. So that's what I'm running off of now. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me look and see how long my subscription goes on for here. And then I got to run in a few minutes and finish up my testing. So my subscriptions, I'm just looking to see how much time I got left on this. But I'm pretty happy with the service. I would look for some way that I could, buy a year or something, because I do that with most of the services that I subscribe to, because you save a little bit. So I did Disney Plus like that, because they had some deal with, I think if you paid for a year up front, you get another year for free or something like that. Yeah, so I have this, and I've had it for over a year already. And so I am current up until November of 2022. So that's what I've got there. And I had switched. So I basically got it from July 2nd, 2019 until November 2022. That's how long it was, for $120 or whatever I paid. So that was a good deal, for sure. And yeah, that's good. And they raised the price for Ultimate recently, is what George says. Yeah, $14.99 a month. Yeah, and I think what's nice about Ultimate is that you get the PC games too, right? So like that's been good. And it's funny, like most of what I want to play with is there. And now I'm finding, like, if I've got time to kill at night, I'm playing games that I just wouldn't have discovered otherwise. So right now, let's go and look at what's available on Game Pass. Just to show you. I'm not trying to sell you on this, everybody. I just like it. I'm so happy with it. So we can go and look at the Xbox stuff here. We'll sort it by console type. So the number of games that are on here that support the new consoles is growing significantly. So these are all the enhanced Series X and S games now. It's a lot. Wow, that is a lot. That's a lot more than just a few weeks ago. And not all of them are even on here, because I've been playing that Destruction Derby game. What is that one called? And that's still listed under enhanced, which is, where is it? Did they take it off? Wreckfest. Yeah, Wreckfest. It's down here. It was down here. Where'd it go? Maybe they put it back up there. Maybe it's in the right place now. Because I was finding that the Did they take it off already? I was just playing it the other day. Wreckfest, where is it? Maybe it's still under, maybe it's all the way down here. Xbox One games. Oh, it's still here. Now, here's what's funny about Wreckfest is that Wreckfest it's all enhanced. It's 4K. It looks beautiful, but it's still not listed as a 4K game. They just put it down here with all the other ones. So some of these games actually look better than you'd think they'd look. And my girls and I have been playing River City Girls. We're having a lot of fun with that game. That game is awesome. If you like beat 'em ups, this is like by far, I think, the best beat 'em up of the year. A close second to Streets of Rage 4. Both of those are really good beat 'em ups. And my daughters love River City Girls because the girlfriends are rescuing the boyfriends. So they like that. They like that they're the girls fixing problems, beating up everybody. That's a fun game. Hot Shot Racing is pretty good. You have like Doom 60, like all these games. I mean, it's crazy, and it keeps growing. Like it's just so for me, who's like not as serious of a gamer as I used to be, you know, I can try out all this stuff, and then things that I would never even consider. You know, no offense to my friends across the pond, but cricket's not that popular here in the United States of America. But I'm actually curious. I would like to learn more about the game of cricket, and I could go load that up, right? So. So Halo Infinite is coming to Game Pass when it comes out. So I mean, like these things are just like day one available. The other one what's that new one? The people that made Mass Effect, the space game. What was, you know what I'm talking about? Like that one. It's gonna next year. Just gonna pop up. Actually, it's funny. The space game, comes out the day my subscription expires. Isn't that funny? Go figure. The one I'm really eager to dive into a little bit. So it's pretty good. And Ariel says they have Game Pass Ultimate prepaid cards that go up to a year. Yeah, I'm going to check those out. Starfield, yeah, that was the game I was thinking, for sure. Yeah, then they've got all the Bethesda stuff. And, you know, and a lot of this comes on PC also. So, like, for example, Doom Eternal, you get it here and on the PC if you have the Ultimate Edition. So, and the PC has games that are not on console, too. And then I'm excited because, you know, a lot of people are going to think about the accessibility here, right? What did it used to take to run a flight simulator back in the old days, right? You needed a pretty powerful computer, but it's coming to the console. You'll be able to run Flight Simulator on an Xbox, and if you have Game Pass, it's part of your subscription. And, you know, you could, honestly, you know, you still, of course, if you want to learn how to fly, you got to take flying lessons, but you learn a lot of the concepts of basic aeronautics with this. I mean, I think there's an accessibility factor here. And what I really like about the fact that Flight Simulator is going to be available on consoles soon is that from the standpoint of careers right now, there are more pilots leaving the profession, retiring, than there are coming in at the moment. So there is a tremendous opportunity to be, you know, for pilots right now, especially if you're looking for a career path or a career change. So you play a little Flight Simulator, you feel like you can, you know, you get the feel of it. And, you know, I've been playing a lot of it. I haven't played it for a little while, but I've been doing these little flights in Flight Simulator. I've been flying from the airport. There's like 2 little airports near me, and I've been flying back and forth to each, trying to really get the feel for landings. And I'm starting to get it. So you may want to get like a flight yoke for this, just to get the right control surfaces. It doesn't feel the same on a game controller, but if you can get one of those flight yokes, you just plug them right in, and you can get that. Now Joy's thinking about buying. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's just every day there's something new that just comes up on here, and a lot of the games are getting enhanced. So games that were not enhanced before are now coming with the enhancements. And the Series X is just powerful enough for 4K. Most of these will run at 30 frames per second at 4K, and then you have an option to switch it into a high performance mode that'll give you, a little faster performance there. But yeah, I mean, it just keeps going and going. So again, these are all of the enhanced ones. And this is a Series X, so these games will, I'm going to go up to here. So this is a 1X, not a Series X, but you can still see which games are optimized. So if I was on my Series X upstairs, you would be able to play all these in high resolution. And oh, Forza, is that out already? Forza 5? Oh, Forza 5 is that the current one? Or is that the new one? Let's see. This is 2020. Oh, is this? Oh, November 9th. Okay. So they're giving you a heads up. You can pre-install it ahead of November. So here they're kind of enticing you to say, hey, this stuff's coming out, right? Now this is coming out in July. But this one's not compatible. Okay, so you need a Series X or S, I'm guessing, for Flight Simulator. That's why there's a, same with Medium here, not compatible. So some of these games are going to be exclusive to the new consoles. But most of them will run on both, right? So if I wanted to say, let's say we wanted to play like, I don't know, let's find one that's kind of AAA-ish. Here, Destiny 2. You got it. You know, it's enhanced, but it runs on the older hardware. And so there's just a ton of stuff. And then if you've got the old discs, like if you're at a flea market or something and you find the 360 game, most of the 360 games work. You just pop the disc in. This keeps going. And then if you have Game Pass, you also get gold. And the gold games, here, I'll show you those. So if you go over here to games with gold, every month they give you 3 different games. Most of them are like older titles, you know, like they're not always great, but some of them are like good classic games. So these are the 3 that are out right now. And then like there's like one title that's there the whole month. Then there's 2, I think, that swap out at the midpoint of the month. So, you know, these are all the games that I've gotten for, well, part of my gold subscription, but it's also part of your Game Pass subscription. So these will never leave. And so what I do, I have a little note in my to-do thing. I just log in and check and see on the 1st and the 16th and just grab whatever game's available. I haven't played most of them, but look, you got Watch Dogs, The Division, you know. Those are like $60 games, boom, free. Shantae, my kids love Shantae. We haven't played this one yet. We're still going through the other one. Dead Rising, that was a launch title on the Xbox One when it came out. These are great, those point-and-click adventures, Back to the Future. This one actually kind of plays out like a sequel to the Back to the Future movies. So if you're a fan of that, they're kind of fun to play. I have to finish playing that one. I was playing that on my iPad a number of years ago. I gotta finish that up. So it's good stuff. Let's take a few more questions, then I got to run and do some more tests upstairs on this. Corey has some more comments here. Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 plays well on Xbox One, going from 8-bit NES from the first game to the 32-bit. That's pretty cool. That's not on Game Pass, though, is it? Let's do a search for that. I don't think it is. Let's see. If it is, that's even better. Now, some of these games will not be on for forever. So, like, they'll be on for a few months. So, like, my kids and I were playing this game called Moving Out. That was the one we were playing. Moving Out, and we had a blast with that one, but now it's off of Game Pass, so we have to buy it. And what did I just do here? I just screwed that up. How do I get out of this? Oops. All right, so let's say Mega Man. I don't think it's on Game Pass, but I could be mistaken. Let's see. There's Mega Man. Yeah, I'll find it later. Now, Corey says, MLB The Show 21 barely gets on by the Xbox One S for booting up and playing the game, but the frame rate is a nightmare. Yeah, I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but I did download. It's a huge game. It's like 80 gigabytes or something. I downloaded that on my Series X upstairs. Now, Chris Allegretta's got a good point here. Hi, Chris. The Series S is highly underrated as long as you're not the kind of person who switches between several different games. Yeah, it's not a lot of space, is it? 500 megabytes. And he got the expansion card. Yeah, that's the one thing, is that you could get this drive, but it won't play those enhanced games. So I'm gonna verify that. I'm sure that's the case, but I'll just demo it upstairs with some B-roll in a little bit. And that'll be on the review when I do it. But you see how hard this is getting? These reviews for like a hard drive used to be about an 8-minute video. Here's how fast it is. Here's the 2 benchmarks. Done. Now it's like, okay, you're buying a gaming hard drive, but which game console do you have? Because if you have this console, it'll do X, Y, and Z, but if you have the other one, it will do these two things, but not the third one. And you got to explain it all because consumers are on Amazon, they see this thing, oh, game drive, my kid needs more space, they buy the drive for the kid, and then what happens? They enhance the game, and it goes from working to not working, right? And then you got to buy the more expensive Xbox drive to be able to continue going with it. So yeah, we're going to have to do some explaining. Jerome says, have I tried Stadia yet? I did, and I liked the technology, but I didn't like the idea of having to buy games again. And what's happened with me is that I have a huge Steam library. I have a minuscule Epic Games library, but some cool games on that platform also. And what frustrated me about Stadia was that in order to play the games through the service, I had to buy the games again, right? So that I think is the real problem I have with Stadia is that I think it would have done better as a technology platform, kind of what NVIDIA did with GeForce Now. Now, the developers hate that, but what are you going to do? Travis loves the Ori games. That's a great Game Pass title. Enhanced in 4K, looks great. And Chris corrects himself, it's not megabytes, but gigabytes. But we're of the age when megabytes was how we used to shop, right? So that's it. But Jerome does make the point, there's no storage problems on Stadia. That is absolutely correct. I will give you that, no question. That is very, very true. And GeForce Now has none either, but you can't play all the games you own on GeForce Now unless the developers anoint the game to be played. So there you go. Traffic says, makes a good corrective there. The publishers didn't like it, but the developers did. That is a very good point. Because the developers often get the short end of the stick for what the publishers are doing to consumers. I'll give you that. And George likes some of the free games that were on Stadia, so you got Jedi Fallen Order on that. That is very true. You do get some good stuff there. All right, well, I'm going to go finish up working on this. I'm going to go plug this into the Xbox Series X upstairs, which is not hooked up for a camera right now. So I will get some work done on this. I am going to have a review that I might shoot before the day is done, which will be up in the next couple of days on the drive here. So far, this looks to be like the Extreme Pro from SanDisk, just in a different form factor. I'm not seeing anything that's remarkably different performance-wise. And I would be surprised if they were developing two entirely separate platforms for what is essentially the same product. So this one is just, just looks more like a gaming device marketed to that crowd. So I don't know if it's, I think it might cost a little bit less maybe. I'll have to check and see what the other one was selling for. Yeah, the Series S, I didn't realize the Series S had such little storage. And so that's what I mean. These drives are going to be really, people are going to be looking for a lower cost option, but this one may not do it. And then can you get those expansion drives, or are they still hard to find? Let me see what those cost. I haven't hit the limit of my storage yet. Okay, so, it's not all that off. So a 1 terabyte, here, I'll put this up on screen for you all to see here. So a 1 terabyte expansion for the Series X or S, the NVMe, that would work with the games, costs about the same as this drive does for the same capacity. It's about a $12 price premium. So that's not bad. That's not bad. I was expecting far more expensive than that. So this one is, this is $199, and that other one is $212? $212. So, I would probably direct people at that, unless you want something that's more portable. For PC gaming, these work great. In fact, we do most of our game testing, we do off of an external SSD. And what's nice about Steam is that Steam, when you download a game on Steam onto an external drive, it's portable. So as long as you're logged into your Steam account, you don't have to re-download every time you move to a different computer. So that's something we make use of quite a bit. That's really helpful. And George, though, makes a good point, because most console gamers are used to buying, those much less expensive spinning drives with lots of capacity. So when you move from $200 getting you like 6 terabytes or whatever to 1 terabyte for the same money, that I could see that being a big problem for people, for sure. Travis Cunningham says, I've read that Xbox Cloud Gaming now runs at Series X. Is that, wow, it doesn't surprise me because I was listening to an interview that they did with Major Nelson, and they basically built racks of Xbox consoles in the cloud for that purpose. So that would make sense. And actually, I would venture to say they're probably Series S targets because, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's only streaming at 720p. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's the bitrate that I was thinking of, but. And it is, right, the official one is much faster. Yeah, this has been helpful, everybody, because it's given me something to frame this discussion around about what they should be looking at. But you know what happens with these things is that, like I'm thinking like Christmas time is going to be a mess because like the kids are finally starting to get these consoles to some degree, right? They're trickling out a little bit more. And so what's the kid going to put on his or her Christmas list? I want more storage. Okay, mom and dad go out, they see the game drive. Okay, that looks like it'll work with my kid's Xbox. It says it does, right? You look on here. Let's see, game drive works with, right? PC, PlayStation, Xbox One. Okay. Although, I guess you could make the argument because they don't call the new Xbox Xbox One, do they? They call it Xbox Series, S or X. So that could be. The price point on this drive is $199 on the 1 terabyte version. So again, about $12 less than the internal or the storage card for the Xbox that you would slide in that would play the games. And there is, by the way, some rubber feet on the bottom of this too, so it doesn't slide around, so that's kind of nice. So there you go. Okay, I got to run. I got to get this thing, got to do the crystal disk mark test upstairs. I will report that to you when I do the full review. But I just wanted you to join me as I was tinkering around with stuff. And as always, you have all been extremely helpful in trying to figure out how to approach the review. So I appreciate that, first of all. And we will have a full review of this very soon on the main channel, which you can find at Lon.TV. And we'll go from there. George asks, I feel like Microsoft was confusing on purpose with the Xbox names last fall. Yeah, I think that's true because I bet you that a lot of kids got a 1X because they said, Mom, I want the Series X, and oh, there's an X in there. That's got to be it. And I'll tell you what though, this has been a nice. I put a big gash in it, unfortunately, but I was very pleased with this. I felt like this was like a very nice, mature. Like when you look at the Xbox One platform, this was very mature. Like, you know what I mean? It felt more polished than their other hardware. The Series S felt pretty good. This felt better. You know, it was fast. The HDR looked great on the 4K games that it supported. It felt like an improvement, and it was the most powerful game console for a while. So that's it. Robin's here. Says, "What's up, guys?" Yeah, we're what's upping. We're leaving very shortly here, but thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the kind words, Travis. Appreciate it. Alva Joy, thank you for your help today. It's very helpful. Thank you for your contributions today. And Jerome, thank you for tuning in. And I will catch you all on the next one. I'll probably be streaming again. I got loads of stuff to stream. So I will just keep popping up, set your notifications, and you will see me appear magically on your phone or whatever it is you watch me on. So there we go. All right, everybody, catch you in a little bit. I will be back again before you know it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.